for an introduction, like explaining what the tiny house is, it's a small building and it's located at the top entrance of the nature trail. It's kind of like next to the chicken coop. It's red, it has like a tin roof and it has solar panels on top. And it was originally created by a shop teacher that was here like over a decade ago, but Mr. English decided that he wanted to continue it and he never really finished like the interior. So right now we're kind of renovating it and making walls, floors, and we can move to the next slide.
So like we didn't know what we wanted to do for our senior project, and Mr. Schilling had we were kind of like we were brainstorming and trying to come up with ideas, and we didn't know what we wanted to do. And Mr. Schilling had created a club. I think it was him and Miss Modry had created a club that was cleaning out the tiny house, and so we didn't have anything better to do, and we decided to join that. And we went in, and we it was a larger group. It was like 10 or 11 kids, and we all helped Mr. Schilling bring things out of the tiny house and kind of clear it out a little bit so that it was less cluttered. And I don't know if he had any plans for it at the time, but that's kind of just where it was. And he, I believe it was him, said that it could be our senior project, or it could be somebody's senior project, to like do the flooring and the walls and the insulation and all that and kind of finish it up. Because my understanding is that somebody had tried to do that in the past and hadn't gotten all the way through. And we decided that we wanted to do that and finish it and make it nice.
After about day 2 of working on Tiny House, we decided that it would be a good space to have like a semi-off-campus study space. And it's just the right size for a few people. There's a loft on the inside, and it'll be all furnished when we're done. So we'll be able to have a big off-campus study space for folks who need to be a little bit farther away.
And Mr. Schilling, like Rowan said, was originally like the mentor person for us, and then towards the end of the first semester, Mr. Baker was hired. He's the new shop teacher, so he took over, and before Mr. Baker got there, we had bought lights, insulation, and planned for the painting and walls. None of us have really done like anything, like any sort of construction work before this, so this was like very new to us, and using all the tools was also really new. You can go to the next slide. We just have, skip on. We just have like a list of, we have rock wool insulation, foam insulation. The rock wool is the fluffy thing on the end.
Oh.
You're not supposed to touch with bare hands. And then the foam insulation is the green, that you can't touch with your hands.
I'm going to grab the script. Okay.
Good.
So, some of the most challenging pieces of like doing the installation is time, and a lot of the bays, the slots in the ceiling where like insulation is supposed to go, are not exactly the same size altogether. The boards kind of like come in a little bit sometimes, and sometimes they're out wider, and it was hard because these are, this width.
So like when we were measuring for the bays up top, we would measure one, and then we'd be like, okay, so we need to cut them all to that that width, those. And so then we went to put them in, and some of them were like, they were too tiny or they were too big, and we're like, well, now we have to cut some, and now we have to like wedge pieces in, because whoever built the roof did not make them proportional.
And also the loft area, so like as you walk in, and above you there's like a floor, and the boards that are holding that floor up weren't exactly even. They were like an inch or two in elevation. Like one of them is here, and then the next one would be over here, but like a little bit higher. And so it was kind of difficult. I'm not sure, I don't remember how Zach Baker kind of helped us out with figuring that out, but yeah, that was difficult. And this is kind of like the board, like the size that they're up like above your head like that.
They're like longer and they just hold up the loft.
Right, and they're bigger, like down here.
And they were put in before we started on this project. So I guess whoever was working on that did not have a former contractor to work with like we do. So that would make sense.
Zach Baker is really helpful. Like Mr. Schilling was, he has some experience in that type of stuff, like help with construction and stuff like that. Like he has some experience in that field, but that's not like what he does for a living. And it was kind of like at first, I don't know about those two, but I was kind of like, I don't know, like I love Mr. Schilling. I don't want to, you know, switch to somebody who I don't know, and like I don't know if they're actually that good. But like the first day that we kind of met him, he was like, all right, let's go check it out. And we went out, and he already had like a list of things that he wanted to do and like suggestions of how we could make certain things better. And it was kind of like very clear that he knew what he was doing.
He like built a structure for us, so it was like laid out everything that we need to do, and we were like, okay, this makes more sense. This goes first, that goes next. Kind of give us like guidelines.
Yeah.
As far as fixing the loft boards went, I was part of what we did to fix it, and so all we had to do was find a good height for it, so the like nice uniform height, so that it would be easier to work around. And then we just picked up we took the brackets that were holding the bar off the wall, and then we made sure that they were all the same height and leveled out, because before they were not, as Rowan said, they were really out of whack. So we took those off, measured, put them back, and then laid the boards in. So now they're all nice and uniform.
That's also kind of a challenge of having 3 people, is that like some of us are in there while some of us aren't, or some of us have time to do it, some of us don't, which is kind of a gift and a curse with the 3 of us, because there's 3 of us, so of course one of us is probably going to have time to go in and, you know, find time to install some rock wool or do some foam boards, or like what Noah was saying, he went in and leveled out those boards. And it was kind of, it's challenging to, you have to have good communication, because if you don't really tell other people what's going on, then they're not gonna know like what's going on. So if you're not, like, we're constantly in communication with Zach over what he's doing and what's going on, which is really helpful, that he does approach us a lot and is like, you know, this is what I think, this is what's going on, which is really helpful.
Oh, pictures of the rock wall, and then the drill bits, and then other tools. And Bob the Builder.
And Bob the
I
Builder.
forgot he was in there.
And we didn't know, but Bob the Builder was released in 1999.
No, I thought he was like a 2010 show, I'm not gonna lie.
I knew it was much before that, but I didn't know.
Oh, and we did use a tractor actually, but that's not a tractor.
Yeah, we didn't put it on there because we forgot that we even used the
We
tractor.
forgot we
to
did.
begin
Mr.
with.
Schilling drove it, and he like drove it in the narrow space down the nature trail. I'm not really sure how, and we put like rock wool on it to carry it.
It was interesting.
And he drove the van into the nature trail too.
And I coughed up a piece of rock wool once.
And I almost fell off of a ladder out of a window.
This is true.
OSHA's not our best friend. But-
Noah found a bunch of dead spider skins and like
Yep.
a giant beehive up in the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Some
in the
interesting things.
gable end.
So
Oh,
we have
and
some-
there's a basement. It's like a crawl space though, and it's all dirt and it's kind of sketchy. Not sure what it was for, but it's down
But
there.
I think we're just gonna cover it.
I think we're
because,
gonna cover it.
I think the plan currently is that we're gonna like put a trap door, kind of like with a handle or something. So
Like
you-
storage or something down
yeah,
there maybe?
so that it's a little more obvious that's what it is. Because right now it's kind of just a piece of wood cut out in the floor that is covered, that blends in very well with the floor, so you wouldn't know it's there unless you kind of like dug your fingernails on it and pulled it up.
Yeah, it's very hard to like take out. And speaking of the inside, for the loft, I believe we're gonna do carpet, right?
Yep.
And then for the walls, we're gonna paint them kind of like a beige, light coffee color, so it's not too like fluorescent. We're gonna hopefully get like bean bags and a couple desks to go in there, and then we have a few of those lights. 12-volt lights because that's all that we could put in there.
Yeah,
So
because
it's a small space.
we're looking for it to be more of a like cozier feeling area. Because I mean, no offense to the school, but it can get kind of like, you know, you're in here 5 days a week for 7 hours every single day. It's kind of, you know, some people just need an escape, and that area, if it's nice and cozy, will kind of be a little more comforting, which will be nice to have for students to go and study, or there is a nature writing class that can go out and use that, and it'll be nice and less like -20 Fahrenheit in the winter.
Yeah, hopefully. We don't have a heating system though, and I don't think we plan to make one just because it's such a small building that the installation should do all the heating we need. Mom?
How is it powered?
There's solar panels on the top.
It's 3 solar panels on the roof hooked up to a power inverter, so we can, you know, use the power with DC and AC.
The cables inside though are kind of a mess right now, so we're gonna have to figure out like how we're gonna have those out of the way. We're probably gonna make like a little box in the corner.
And we had originally when we were doing the lights, they're supposed to go on the wall like that, and you know, swivel around and whatever. And we were drilling holes for that, and it kind of like the way it was built is some of the bays in the walls have 2 boards and some of them have 1, and we didn't have a long enough bit to reach through both, and so it was kind of challenging also because we had already installed all the rock wool before we had decided to drill holes, and so it was kind of, you had to push through the rock wool and drill into the
Rowan's favorite.
the board, yeah, and it's very itchy and not fun
Yeah,
to get all over your arms.
Originally we were like, oh, rock wool, that's new to us, and Mr. Schilling had no clue like if you were supposed to wear gloves, so we were just like, we'd like pick it up with our bare hands, shove it in the wall, and then afterwards we'd be like, why am I so itchy? So we learned, and we now use gloves and goggles and a mask so you don't cough up a piece of rock wool like Rowan.
I suppose I'm an example of what not to do. Don't mess with insulation with no mask and no gloves and no goggles.
As far as the outside, at least I was thinking about like adding, I don't remember what the flower boxes, is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Like outside the windows just to make like the aesthetic
Yeah.
better.
Make it a little
And
cozier.
then we gotta fix, again, they didn't make the steps proportional, so it's kind of like you step up and then it's like you have to step up even higher for the next step. So we're gonna try to even those out if we get to that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we need to fix, but we're prepared to work on that.
There's also siding that was completely untouched, so there's open bits of just the inside wall on the face of the building. So we're gonna be installing siding as well
ugly.
to, you know, finish the building.
I think that's everything.
Thank you for listening.
Yes,
Do you have questions? Yes.
If I heard you correctly at the beginning, I think you said that you were a little out of your areas of expertise in this, that the tools and the process was new to all 3 of you. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And so I just want to clarify how you got yourselves into this project. Were you motivated by that desire to have, to create this nice space? Or I just am so impressed that you took on a project of this nature without it being your thing.
Well, I came into my senior year and I was like, I have absolutely no clue what I'm doing for my senior project, and it just was like, it sparked interest to me to like try something new with my friends, and it would be also beneficial to classmates who I have in younger grades and whatever, to make a space for them like that. That was my biggest like motivation. It just was creative. I thought it would be nice to try something new.
For me,
Always.
it was kind of, I also didn't really know what I wanted to do, and Schilling saying that it could be a senior project, I was like, oh, that's an idea. And construction had kind of interested me. I've done a few odd things here and there, like lawn work and whatever else, that kind of like piqued my interest a little bit. But I hadn't done anything longer term and I decided, I was like, you know, he said it could be a senior project. Why don't I just do it? Because I had a little bit of interest, but I wasn't fully like there with skills or anything like that, and I was like, I kind of want to develop that.
And then for me, when Roan and Lilley had approached me about it, I was kind of grasping at straws for a senior project as well, and I had some prior semi-construction experience, so I knew how to run tools and how to put up wall, and so it was a good fit for a project that I had some prior experience in, but would still gain experience and skill from the project.
Wonderful, thank you very much.
Any more questions?
Oh, and if you're using a drill and you're like using it up against the wall, make sure you hold your other hand on it so it doesn't smack you in the face.
Another reason not to be like me.
All right. Well, thank you guys.